From Wish TV and the All Indiana Podcast Network, this is the News 8 Daily 8 Podcast with Wish TV's Kylie Conway. A Wish TV News 8 update.
Hi, I'm Kylie Conway, and this is your News 8 Daily 8 from Monday, August 28th. It is going to be another gorgeous day, kind of a repeat of what we had Sunday. Little slower in the wind department, brighter skies. High temps are going to be in the upper 70s. A cooler start we had in the upper 50s this morning. Rain's likely out of the question for all of Indiana today. Tonight it's going to be in the lows around 55. We'll hit that in the lows of Tuesday morning. We were following breaking news this morning. A standoff between IMPD and a man with a machete ended in a fatal police shooting. IMPD says officers went to the home where it happened several times over the weekend. It all came to a head after several welfare checks on a man facing a mental health crisis. It happened at a home on Woodland Drive. It's near 46th and Moeller. IMPD says the department sent officers there Friday, twice on Saturday, and twice again yesterday. Police say family called 911 to report that the man was sending strange messages, threatening to kill them, and hallucinating. The final call came at about 6:45 last night. That's when police say the man brought out a machete and threatened them. A SWAT team and a crisis negotiation unit, including a psychologist, came to the house, but police reported no meaningful conversation. After about 3 hours, the SWAT team used beanbag rounds, a taser, and pepper balls to arrest him. But officers say the man moved toward them with a machete and made contact with a ballistic shield. One officer shot the man twice. He later died at the hospital. Right now, first you're going to hear from IMPD, then a Pike Township trustee who says she saw it all happen.
This is a tragic incident. Officers have been to this location multiple times, worked with the family, with the goal of trying to provide resources to an individual who is clearly having a mental health crisis. They took multiple steps to separate themselves from the individual, not engage, and the incident today resulted in a situation where officers couldn't step away.
I know that more and more mental illness is, popping up, and it's arising in communities because of various need. There's a need for mental health facilities to be, in our communities, and that's one of the things that we're lacking. So I think, when that happens and you're dealing with that, you're going to have these type of situations.
IMPD says the department recovered the machete and a knife at the scene. The officer who fired his gun is on administrative leave. The Use of Force Review Board will now look into what happened. State police are looking for whoever shot a man in a possible road rage shooting on 465. It happened last night around 9:45 on the south side near Emerson Avenue. Police say a trooper applied a tourniquet to the victim. At last check, the victim was stable at the hospital. Police are now asking anyone who was driving in that area at the time to call police. A triple shooting during a baby shower left one man critically wounded and two others injured on the east side. It happened just after 7:30 last night near 10th and Arlington. Police say someone opened fire in a parking lot. IMPD hasn't released any information about a suspect. No word on any arrests or the names of the victims. Police say a 14-year-old is wounded, shot as he and another teenager tried to rob someone. It happened late Saturday night in a neighborhood near 34th and Moeller Road. Investigators say the 14-year-old and a 17-year-old held someone at gunpoint. There was a struggle for the gun, and the 14-year-old was shot. Police say he's stable. The 17-year-old is in custody and faces a robbery charge. In Fort Wayne, 4 people are under arrest after a police chase that included officers firing shots. It started Sunday morning when Fort Wayne police say they tried to stop a stolen car, but the driver kept going. That led to a 15-minute chase through yards and into oncoming traffic at times. At some point during the chase, officers fired shots at the car, but say no one was hurt. The car eventually crashed on the south side of Fort Wayne. Police say the 4 people in the car tried to run. Officers caught and arrested them. A local woman is urging people to learn about help that's available ahead of this week's International Overdose Awareness Day. She lost her son, Justin Phillips, to a drug overdose in 2013. The next year, she created Overdose Lifeline, a nonprofit that aims to help people and families affected by drug use. Phillips also helped create a law in her son's name, making it easier to get overdose reversal drugs and to prevent prosecution for anyone who tries to help someone who's overdosing.
We need to have awareness that it is a chronic disease of the brain. We need to normalize it. We need to talk about it. We need to not be afraid to ask for help because people are judging.
International Overdose Awareness Day is this Thursday. And Lieutenant Governor Suzanne Crouch is promising to push for universal pre-K if she's elected governor. She outlined her plans to News 8's government reporter Garrett Berquist on All Indiana Politics.
Crouch has long advocated for early childhood education. She says the current On My Way pre-K program has done well, but it's time to move beyond pilot programs.
Business leaders from my hometown of Evansville are the ones that approached me, and they were very heavily invested in early childhood education. And they educated me on the importance of early childhood education in terms of preparing and getting our workforce today prepared, but then preparing our workforce for tomorrow. And they made a believer out of me, and I actually co-authored the first bill that actually established Indiana's early childhood education pilot program. We need to move beyond a pilot. And we need to work towards getting every child an opportunity to be able to learn so that by third grade they can read and then they can be successful later in life. And so what I would look as we move forward is to be partnering more with our private sector, be looking at the private sector to be able to come alongside what we want to do in state government and work together to be able to do those kinds of programs that look at moving Indiana forward and preparing our workforce for tomorrow.
So in your proposal, would the pre-K programs be run more through employers, private schools, as opposed to public schools? How would that work?
It would be all the above. I think we would look at all the above.
Indiana Politics airs every Sunday morning at 9:30, exclusively on Wish TV. I'm Garrett Bergquist for Wish TV, wishtv.com, and like us on Facebook.
Indiana Task Force 1 is set to return to Indianapolis from Hawaii. It comes 10 days after crews were deployed to Maui to assist with the deadly wildfires. According to Indiana Task Force 1, part of the team will return at 1:45 this afternoon. The rest will arrive on a second flight at 3:45. And a spokesperson for Hawaiian Electric says the company did not remove evidence connected to the wildfire investigation. It comes after reports that the company may have compromised the evidence. Hawaiian Electric says it's not true, and it's fully cooperating with all investigators. Maui County officials blame the company for causing the fire that killed 115 people and left hundreds of others missing. Florida is bracing for a powerful storm. Idalia is currently a tropical storm, but looks to grow quickly as it churns toward the Gulf Coast. People in Tampa have been picking up sandbags ahead of its arrival. Our Storm Track 8 team says Idalia is on course to hit Florida Wednesday, possibly as a powerful Category 3 hurricane. Power companies say they're already starting to move workers to be ready to handle outages. Some schools have also canceled classes through Wednesday because of Idalia. And today, attorneys for former President Donald Trump are due back in court. A judge is considering proposed trial dates in the federal case accusing Trump of working to overturn the 2020 election results. Special counsel Jack Smith has proposed a date of January 2nd, 2024. Trump's attorneys asked for the trial to start in April of 2026. They say they need more time to review the 11.5 million pages of documents they've received from prosecutors. The judge is likely to at least set a tentative trial date during today's conference. A new poll shows most Americans think the two leading presidential hopefuls are too old for the job. It's an AP NORC survey. The feeling is stronger regarding President Biden, who's 80. The poll finds 77% say he's too old for another term. 89% of Republicans feel that way. 69% of Democrats do. As for the Republican frontrunner, the poll finds 51% feel that at 77, former President Trump is too old to take on the task again. There is a significant party split in his case. 71% of Democrats say Trump's too old. 28% of Republicans do. Education experts say the economy could be affected if students cannot catch up from the learning loss they experienced during the COVID-19 pandemic. According to a report from the nation's report card, the national average test scores were for 13-year-olds dropped during the 2022-23 school year when compared to pre-pandemic levels. The report says average scores dropped 4 points in reading, 9 points in mathematics. It's the lowest math score for the age group since 1990, the lowest reading score since 2004. This is all despite Congress authorizing a record amount of federal aid to K-12 schools across the country in COVID relief money. Districts now have 1 year left to use that money. A new study shows requests to ban books at public schools and libraries hit a 21-year high last year. The data comes from the American Library Association. The association recorded 1,050 requests in 2022. That is a 70% increase over the previous year. The association says books with LGBTQ and sexually explicit themes are among the most challenged titles. A local expert says the rebranding and revamp of Twitter to X threatens to drive users away. Kim Saxon is a marketing professor at Indiana University. She points to changes charging for verification and ending the block feature as negative moves. She says the average American regularly uses 7 different social media sites. Officials say a Saturday shooting in Florida was clearly motivated by racial hatred. Authorities say a white man wearing a mask and brandishing a weapon with a swastika shot and killed 3 black people. It happened at a Dollar General store in a predominantly black neighborhood in Jacksonville. The sheriff called the attack a dark day in Jacksonville's history. Authorities say the gunman killed himself. They say he left behind a suicide note, a will, and racist writings. 3 U.S. Marines have died, and several others are in the hospital after an Osprey crash in Australia. Authorities say that a tilt-rotor aircraft went down during a training mission Sunday morning. 20 people survived, 8 were still in the hospital as of the most recent update. So far, the military has not released the names or home states of any of the Marines. To business headlines, members of the United Auto Workers Union overwhelmingly approved possible strikes at the nation's 3 unionized automakers next month. The vote does not mean there'll be a strike at any of the 3 automakers. It just empowers union leadership to call a strike if they can't reach a deal with management. The contracts expire midnight September 14th. A new Gallup survey reveals a mixed picture on employee engagement, ticking down for remote workers. Of those who say they're fully remote, a record low of 28% say they feel connected to their workplace's purpose, compared to 32%. 33% of on-site employees feel connected. Mac users can get a lifetime subscription to Microsoft Office, typically for $219, for only $34.97 through August 31st. Microsoft Home and Business includes Word, Excel, PowerPoint, Outlook, and Teams. A growing multi-generational workforce has opened up a new debate about older employees. Courts report some corporations offer new grandparents similar benefits to new parents. With boomers staying in the workforce longer and childcare costs rising, more companies are offering grandternity leave. Hefty has reintroduced a scented version of its garbage bags infused with the aroma of pumpkin spice, with extra cinnamon added for good measure. The bags go on sale next month and cost $5.99 for a box. All right, it has been 3 in a row now for the Indiana Fever. For the first time in more than 2 seasons, the Fever had a 10-point lead at the half, gave it all up, then clawed for the victory at the end. Christy Wallace came up big with 2 go-ahead threes late. She had a career-high 20 in the 83-80 win. Next up, a home game against Dallas Friday night at 7. And the Little League World Series ends in the kind of situation baseball players dream about.
Challenged him, and this game is over! Louis Lappy does it again!
A walk-off home run wins the title. The team from El Segundo, California wins it with a towering clout from the team's biggest star. Luis Lape sent it over the wall to lead off the 6th inning Sunday against Curacao. It's the first title ever for the team out of El Segundo. Curacao has now finished as runner-up in 3 of the last 4 Little League World Series. And you now have 2 chances to see Jerry Seinfeld in Bloomington. The comedian has added a second show at IU to his schedule. They're both October 20th, the first at 7:30, the second at 9:30. Tickets for both shows are available online starting at $57. This has been your News 8 Daily 8 for Wish TV. I'm Kylie Conway. Online at wishtv.com and like us on Facebook when you search Wish TV.
This is the News 8 Daily 8 podcast with Wish TV's Kylie Conway. A Wish TV News 8 update on demand. For even more, on demand and on the go. Connect with Wish TV on Facebook at wishtv.com and on the free Wish TV mobile app. Thank you for listening. And be sure to like, subscribe, and follow this podcast for updates every weekday morning on the All Indiana Podcast Network and wherever you get your podcast.